How has TeleTracking caused transformations in the healthcare community?
So at this point, TeleTracking's been around for 27 years, and where we started is certainly not where we are today. I think one of the biggest things is that because we affect and touch so many different departments in the hospital, it's required them to work cross-functionally and try to break down some of those silos. And when each of those departments knows that they're in it for the patient, they're all working towards the same goal, you're starting to break down some of those silos and really know what one person does impacts the next person. And so it's like a trickle-down effect. Those that are cleaning rooms may not realize that they're cleaning that room. They need to clean that room timely to get the patient in. The person that's waiting in the emergency department is waiting for that room. So trying to show them that connection is really impactful, and I think that's, how they work really well together. Just the transformation in general, not necessarily in healthcare, but here at TeleTracking, I mean, we've come a long way too in 27 years, and started as 70, well, when I started 14 years ago, we were 70 some people. Now we're almost 450 people. So when you talk about cultural transformation, we've had that happen here at TeleTracking too, breaking down silos, just making sure that people are working together, and we're working for our customers who are working for their patients. And we're going through that right now too. We've had a lot of growth in the past 2-3 years, a lot more competition, and so right now we're starting to feel that pain internally as an organization. And so there are talks about, how is it that we take what we do and share with our customers every day, because we've got great consultants, that one of them being your mom, that goes in and talks about how organizations need to transform in order to succeed. And so we need to basically eat that same dog food, right? And we need to go through that process as an organization as well, and really transform how we market, how we deliver our technology, how we educate our customers, and just really work better cross-functionally as an organization. The bigger you get, the more difficult it is to change. The slower you become at adapting to change. And it's usually make or break for a lot of organizations as to whether you can actually make that happen.
Right.
So it's a critical time for us here as an organization, and I think there's a lot of focus on that too. But 27 years of helping hospitals and health systems all over the world, I think one of the things that our customers say all the time is that we've helped them transform their culture, so that there's transparency and there's accountability, and that's what we provide, so that they can take care of their patients.
Nice. So apart from hospitals, how do you think TeleTracking has been beneficial to the communities in the U.S. and the UK?
Read it one more time. Tell me one more time.
So, apart from the hospitals, say when a patient goes home, or whatever, how do you think this company has been beneficial to the communities in the United States and the United Kingdom?
So I don't know that this answers that question directly, but you're here for a reason this week, and it is to volunteer your time at Mission of Mercy Pittsburgh, which is providing free dental care to hundreds, if not thousands, of people that don't have access to that care. So in the past few years, we've spent a lot of time as an organization just doing things for the community and really putting ourselves out there. So this is a huge event for our organization. The company has given every employee 8 hours of volunteer time, which is almost unheard of to volunteer their services, whether it be this week at Mission of Mercy or at some other point during the year. We do a lot of other philanthropic things throughout the city of Pittsburgh and encourage our remote employees, which is almost half of the organization, to do the same. The UK is a new market that we've been dabbling in for the past couple of years, so I don't know that I could speak to that right now. What I do know, and this is different than what I just talked about with Mission of Mercy, but several years ago we partnered with one of the largest trusts in the UK, the Royal Wolverhampton NHS Trust, and it was almost a pilot for them where we said, we will implement our technology, we will train you on how it works, we will stay with you and partner for some period of time until you see results, and then you need to share those results with the other trusts in the UK. And so that's finally happening right now, where a good deed that we did up front is now hopefully paying off, both selfishly for us TeleTracking, but also for the trusts in the UK. And Royal Wolverhampton has been sharing their results with those in the UK, and we have some other opportunities to do something similar where we install our applications, prove that, by doing so they've had positive outcomes, and the goal is to implement that technology throughout all trusts in the UK. Slower adoption than what I think we would like, but healthcare in general is very reluctant to adoption of technology and change, and so two other things though. Mr. Zamias, who is the CEO of our company, has a relationship with Carnegie Mellon University, which is a large university here in Pittsburgh, very well known for a lot of the things that they do. And so he's been connected with them and the Rwandan government, and CMU has a campus in Rwanda. And so this year we took 30-some interns from around the U.S. that are here in Pittsburgh, and we also have 10 interns that are through, I believe they're through Carnegie Mellon, but they're in Rwanda. And we sent one of our employees to Rwanda to kind of mentor and guide and watch over these interns, and they have very specific projects that they're working on for TeleTracking. Similar kind of thing right now is a few of our employees are in Singapore, and several Singaporeans attended a trade show that we were at earlier this year because they're faced with the same kind of crisis, healthcare crisis. So this is not unique to what happens in the United States where people don't have access to timely care. So we have an opportunity to basically show off what we do in Singapore and partner with them to implement technology and provide access to timely care to those people too. So we are out and about in the community, whether we're doing good here locally in Pittsburgh and also trying to drive awareness in other parts of the country.
I'm so glad you brought. Oh, it's so good! I'm so excited. I'm glad you brought up Mission of Mercy because people don't realize that, like, if you don't take care of your teeth, there's going to be other issues like heart problems and other issues. So, can you speak a little bit about that, or?
So yes, kind of. I do know that a lot of people that show up at the emergency department, and I don't know what the percentage is, but there are a number of people that show up when they have a toothache or something wrong, like oral, and typically in the emergency department there are not dentists or oral surgeons or anyone that can help with that. So they typically give a patient a prescription and send them home. A lot of people don't have dental care, and so they choose not to because either they don't think it's either they can't pay for it, or they don't think it's that big of a deal. But yes, tooth decay and plaque and gingivitis and all of that, yes, it does tie to other things that can happen that you may not know about until it's too late. And so Mr. Zamias, again, our CEO, is very passionate about our mission here at TeleTracking and just being able to provide timely access to care. And so this Mission of Mercy event is very important for him, and just doing something good for our community. So this is the third year that we've participated as an organization, and the people that showed up last year were very appreciative of, they stood in line for hours and hours to have a cleaning, have a filling, have whatever procedure done, didn't complain about it, and we're just very grateful for the opportunity. So I don't know enough about
the healthcare side.
the impact that not having your teeth cleaned on a regular basis has, but yes, there definitely are implications to not having that done on a regular basis.
Because I think people, when people hear about this event, they don't realize that this is the only dental care that these people get all year long.
Correct.
And we take it for granted because, I get mad when I have to go to the dentist because I'm thinking, it's just another thing to do. But then I'm thinking, people would kill for that opportunity, you know?
Yeah.
And I couldn't imagine, if I had TMJ one time, I went to the dentist the next day. Mm-hmm. I couldn't even imagine having to wait a year for it.
Right.
That would drive me insane.
Right.
But, we're just fortunate enough to be able to afford it, and even though healthcare costs are insane these days, I think we take a lot of that stuff for granted. Mm-hmm. Not just speaking for me, but I think everybody. That I think I know for me as a volunteer, I got a ton more out of it than the patients did last year, because they're so grateful and they're so humble about it. I'm just like, oh man, because it gives you something to take home, even if it's 600 miles away.
Right. Yes.
That's amazing. So back onto TeleTracking. Can you explain what the company is for someone that isn't familiar with it or isn't really familiar with how hospitals work?
Sure.
Okay.
Yep. So the easiest, let me start. Let me back up a little bit. Our mission, which is very important to the organization and what we live and breathe, is that no one should ever have to wait for the care they need, no matter what the setting is. So 27 years ago, the founder of the company, I believe, was working in a hotel and noticed that when you checked out of your hotel, the front desk didn't necessarily know when that was happening. So when new guests were arriving in the hotel, they were actually, walking the floors to see, did this guest check out? I need to send someone to clean the room. And so took that to when he was actually working in a hospital, and saw that same thing. So a patient leaves a room because they're discharged, and nobody necessarily knows about that. So you've got new patients showing up in your emergency department that are waiting for a bed, and most people who have been to the hospital or been to the emergency department know that it takes a really, really long time. And you're wondering, what is happening behind the scenes? Why am I still waiting for a room if they told me that I'm going to be admitted? And so we liken it sometimes to table turns at a restaurant. When you show up at the restaurant, the hostess typically says it's going to be about 30 minutes because they know that table 6, those people are almost done. And that once they pay their bill and once they send someone over to clean that table, it should be about 30 minutes. So very similar. And I'll start backwards, I guess. So there are many components, and there are many things, many solutions that we sell into the hospital, and they all work together. And so you're ready to be discharged from the hospital. Your doctor writes an order that says you're ready to be discharged from the hospital. There are a number of things that typically need to happen before you can leave. Whatever it may be. You need additional medication, you need a test, a final test, you need somebody to arrange for your transportation, whatever the case may be. Once all of those things are completed, most hospitals have patient transporters. So a transporter is notified that they need to come to your room and take you out of the room. And there's a lot of magic that happens behind the scenes, but that transporter shows up in your room. They either log into our system on their iPod or a pager or on the phone, and they basically say, hey, I'm here to take Carly out. And what that does is it sends a bunch of notifications to people. It sends a notification to housekeeping to say, Carly has left the room, I now need to go and clean that room. And so somebody from environmental services is paged to show up at that room and clean that room. And so there are notifications and metrics that are built into all of these things where we know that it should take a transporter X number of minutes to get to the room to get Carly and get her out. It should take X number of minutes for that housekeeper to get to the room, clean the room, and make sure that that room is ready. It also notifies someone, perhaps in the emergency department, that is waiting for a bed for a patient that needs to be admitted. And what you see is, we call it a bed board or a portal screen, and it basically shows all the available beds. It also shows those that are occupied and those that are dirty that may be cleaned. So even if there aren't available beds, you can see beds where somebody may be cleaning and you can pre-assign someone to that room. Or I see this person is getting ready for discharge. I see that they're supposed to be discharged around 2 p.m. I can kind of pencil that new patient that's waiting for a bed into that room. The other thing is there are different access points into the hospital. And one of the things that your mom built at Tupelo and actually at a number of sites throughout the U.S. is what's called a transfer center. So there's an accident in a rural area, and the paramedics or whoever shows up realizes that there's no way that I could take that patient to this hospital because it's not the right level of care. And so you typically will transfer them to a higher level of care by ambulance, a lot of times by helicopter, to get them to that higher level of care. And so we also provide an application where whoever is referring that patient would call in and say, I've got this patient, whatever is wrong with them, I need to transfer them. Can you take this patient? And so they're filling out on the other end some requirements that they need to know, who is this person? How old are they? What are their vital signs? What do you think is wrong with them? How quickly can you get them here? And they're also looking at, do we have availability for this patient? So that bedboard or portal screen, where can I put this patient? If they need to go directly into surgery, do I have the capacity to do that and make sure that happens? So there are a lot of things that are happening behind the scenes, and there are so many other components to that. But at the end of the day, it's about getting someone that needs access to timely care where they need to be, with the right resources at the right time. And so a lot of manual operations are now automated by the technology that we provide. And we consult hospitals on how to do these things. So why is it important to break down those silos in each of those departments? Because it really is a trickle-down effect. And how do we all work together to make sure that that person receives the care that they need?
That's
so
awesome.
That's where we are right now. Most of our focus has been on the acute care space, so when you're actually admitted into a hospital. We're now branching out to outpatient. Because it doesn't matter what the care setting is. If you need access to care, we should be able to provide it. And it's not always teletracking, but
right.
we, teletracking, are also branching out to provide some of those same components and workflows and adaptations of our technology in different care settings.
Well, that's awesome.